Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, friends. We are from the analysis group. I'm Elisabeth Adidnda, and these are my friends, Adelia Jessica, Gregorius Ananda, and Philia Disca. Today, we will do a presentation about the analysis stage of Addie method. We will talk about abstract analysis, questions and issues, common procedures, and last analysis summary. Now we will begin our presentation.
All right. Before we got into the explanations of the analysis in Addie method, let me remind you of something that all of us have known, which was already explained by ma'am last week. It is the Addie in instructional design. All right. In instructional design, there are many methods that are used in the process. So the effectiveness of every process might differ, so that it is better to understand the stages and choose one which suits you the best. Of the methods can be called the framework. Each framework is utilized to design and develop educational and training program. So remember, it is not always the educational one, but other kinds of training program is also possible. And one of the methods in this instructional design is Addie, and the other one that I know is CAMP. Well, Addie stands for analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. And this is the order of process in. So who make and who use this framework? The one who make and use this framework are the educationer, training developers, instructional designers. These are useful and effective. Well, I could say that educators or instructional designers and training developers find this approach very useful because this approach has stages that are clearly defined and facilitates implementation of. And now let's talk about the Addie model itself. Addie model relies on each stage being done in order. So it means that we cannot skip one stage and then we can just do however we want. Of this approach is on the reflection and iteration. This is a focused approach that provides feedback for continuous improvement, meaning that there will always be revisions.
Okay, for the analysis explanation, the analysis phase can be considered as the goal setting stage. The focus is on the target audience, and it also that the program matches the level of skill and intelligence, and it is to ensure won't be duplicated. And that the focus will be instead be on topics and lessons that students have yet to explore and learn. An analysis starts with question to understand the current situation, and question to understand the goal of the program. And the analysis states also address some issues.
So questions and issues that are usually asked in this stage are the first one, what is the typical background of students, such as personal information like age, nationality, interests, and there's also educational information like educational goals, past knowledge, and past experiences. The second one is what do the students need to accomplish at the end of the program, such as the objective of the program and the needs of the learners. The third one is what are the desired learning outcomes, such as knowledge, skills, attitude, behavior, and so on. Next. We have determining popular methods, such as methods being used around the subject, what needs to be developed and improved, review existing strategies, add or improve something. We also have determining target objectives, such as the instructional goal that the project focuses on. And the last one, determining various options, such as the learning environment, the delivery option, pros and cons like online and offline learning, and the difference in learning outcomes by using different methods or environment.
So the last issue is about determining the limiting factors of the overall goals of the project. So limiting factors means that it is about the resources. So some of the resources are techniques, support, time, human resources, technical skills, financial factors, and etc. Okay, so the common procedures of analysis is there are 6 steps. So first is to validate the performance gap. Second, to determine instructional goals. Third, to analyze learners. Fourth, audit available resources. Fifth, to recommend potential delivery system. And the last one is to compose a project management plan.
The first common procedure is validate the performance gap, and every step has their own objective. So the objective of this step is to generate a purpose statement based on performance gap. Um, each student has their own performance gap that has to be closed or completed using this the instructional design program. And in this step, we have to analyze the reasons for their performance gap. Oh, the way to find the causes of the performance gap can be find or can be analyzed by making a performance assessments for students. The performance assessments can be made by making a survey or an interview or etc. For instance, the survey can be made in Google Form, because like now we're having online classes and we cannot meet other people to make the survey or interview. So it can be in the form of Google Form. Maybe it can be about students' understanding in types of text and maybe about tenses such as past tense. And in the performance assessments, there are 3 main steps, which are the first main steps is measure the actual performance. And then the second one, confirm the desired performance. And the third one is identify the causes for a performance gap. The causes for a performance gap, usually there are 3 causes, which are the lack of resources, just like the facilitator, money, or time. And the second one is the lack of motivation. And the last one is the lack of knowledge and skill. After an analysis, can generate a purpose statement. The next step of the procedure is determine the instructional goals. The objective of this step is to generate goals that respond to performance gaps that are caused by the lack of knowledge and skill. So after generating the purpose statement before, we have to make the goals that will be achieved by the participants. And in this step, we have to describe the terminal task that student will perform at the end of the course. The terminal task or instructions examples are, for example, students are able to identify the essential components of guided learning. Students are able to compose a research report worthy of publication. Students are able to apply an interactive planning process in the development of learning resources. And students are able to analyze learning and many others. And this process can be held by using the Bloom's taxonomy. And there's several things to consider when we're doing this process. The first one is we have to consider the types of learning to achieve the goals, because like nowadays there are many methods of learning, many things, so we can maybe try and choose one of the best methods considering the environment. And please also consider prerequisite knowledge and skills and the participants' abilities, capabilities, experiences, preferences, and availability of the learners.
Okay, for confirm the intended audience. For the objective, to identify the abilities, experience, and preference and motivation of student audience. For the content, to collection of data which assists us in confirming the member of audience. And types of data, first is group identification, second general characteristic, member of student, location of students, experience level, student attitude, and potential skill. Identify required resources. Objective, to identify all types of resources that will be required to complete AD process. And the content for common resource types. First is content resources, technology resources, instructional facilities, and human resources. For common resource types is content, pre-existing resources as preference, technology like computer, electronic devices, utensils, etc. Facilities, available rooms, and human, the number and level of expertise of the teachers.
Okay, the fifth step is to determine potential delivery system. The objective is to determine the potential delivery system and the estimated cost. So in this phase, it is to evaluate the different instructional delivery systems and recommend the best options that has the greatest potential to close the performance gap. The common delivery system include a physical face-to-face meeting, computer-based training, video, internet-based learning management systems, and blended. So in this blended, there are two or more of the above delivery system. So there are 9-step estimation procedures in this determined potential delivery system. First is to identify the delivery option under consideration. Second is to estimate the length of time of which delivery option under consideration. The third one is to compute costs for the analyzed phase. The fourth is to estimate costs for the design phase. The fifth is to estimate costs for the develop phase. The sixth is to estimate the costs for the implement phase. The seventh is to estimate costs for the evaluate phase. The eighth is to total the estimated costs for all the 5 AD phases. And the last step is to provide an estimated cost range. So next. The last step is to compose a project management plan. The objective is to create a consensual document that confirms the expectations of all parties involved in the project. There are 2 rules of the project management. First is a project has a beginning, middle, and an end. The second is a project is measured in terms of quality, time, and money. The Project Management Institute defines 4 major project phases. First, initiation, second, planning, 4, execution, and the last one is closure. There are some sections to consider from a project management plan. First is about the core instructional design team members. This identify members of the project and teams and stakeholders. Second is significant constraint. The constraint describe the conditions or capabilities that must be met or possessed by the projects of the project to satisfy a contract, specification, or other formally imposed standard. The constraint identify the project boundaries. The third one is schedule task. Scheduling is the timing and sequence of tasks within a project. The fourth and the final is the final report. Many lessons will have been learned by the end of the project. You may wish that you had done things differently or better. So therefore, at the end of the project, it is your time to summarize on what have you done throughout the project and what should be learned to help to do things better on the next project. Next.
So now we have finally come to analysis summary. There are 7 components of analysis summary. There are first, a performance assessment report. The second is a purpose statement. The third is a list of instructional goals. The fourth is a student profile. Fifth is a list of required resources. Sixth is potential delivery systems, including cost estimates. And the last is a project management plan. Next. That's all from us. If you have any questions, please directly go to Philia and write your questions in the forum. Thank you.